Good evening, everybody. How are you? Nice to see so many of you here, many of whom I've met before, some of you who I know, and some of you I've met for the first time. My name is Meyer. I am the rabbi over at Aish, and Rabbi Seiderson is also rabbi at Aish, and that's the founding organization and the parent organization for Joy. Just a couple of announcements before I begin speaking. I've been to the Man Seder before, and the way Rabbi Lehrfeld has set it up is that some years we actually go through parts of the Haggadah and we give insights into different parts of the Haggadah. And some years we alternate and we do overviews of different themes, either themes of Passover in general, themes of the Haggadah. So this year we won't be going through the Haggadah proper. Each one of us, hopefully, will be talking about different themes in the Haggadah. And when I'm done, a few minutes after I'm done, depending on how long I speak, I'll have to excuse myself because I have another engagement. I am interested in what the other rabbis have to say, but I have another engagement. But as far as the Seder itself is concerned, there are many pamphlets over here. There are booklets, there are pamphlets that might help you get through the Seder in a more meaningful way. Tips, ideas, thoughts about the Seder, and they're all available here, and you can take them with you when you go. One other announcement, I don't know how many of you know, in 1998 or 1997, I don't remember what year it was, I started when we started out, before we had the building now, before we had the building that we had before here on East Bellevue, we were on East Shenango, on the little office building just to the east of King Soopers over there. That's where we had our organization from 1996 until just about 2000. And we started there without a kitchen, really. We just had a little closet. We started having Passover lunches for the students at Creek. And we probably had 20, 30 kids. I don't remember how many came, but it was a very successful program. The kids came, the parents loved it. And either for children who do observe Passover at home in terms of what they eat, and also for kids who don't, it made it much easier for them to have Passover food on Passover. Over the years, the program has expanded to where last year and the year before we had 600 people, not every day, but a total of 600 people coming for the lunches. We opened it up also to adults, but probably 90% are students. This year, the first 2 days of Passover, in which the synagogue is being used, so the space is not available, that's Tuesday and Wednesday. So we'll be having, for those of you who have kids, they can come from any school, but I guess the closest are Campus and Creek, but they come from Kent, they come from anywhere. But it's for middle school and up, and the hours you can find online. I think it's like 10:30 to 1:30, depending on the period of the day. And we're having lunches at Aish on Thursday and Friday. But in addition to that, it's something that's we got started with COVID, and now we've continued it on the first days of Pesach, Tuesday and Wednesday, and the last days, which are also Monday and Tuesday. We're going to bring bagged lunches to 1, 2, 3 schools. We're going to bring them to Creek every day. We're bringing them before you for the non-perishables that we're serving, at least in the bagged lunches. And we're bringing them to Campus Middle School, and we're bringing them to Denver Academy, and we're still working on Aspen Academy to see. So we are at least in 3 schools. We're bringing the kids Passover lunches to those schools. And it's a great thing. The kids love it. I guess when they get it in school, they don't get the same inspiration and the talks and the stories that they do at Aish. But we're doing it again, so if you know kids who are in those schools, please make them aware of it. And of course, next week, Thursday and Friday, they can come to Aish. If anybody wants to sponsor those, because these meals are expensive, if you want a partial sponsor, you want to sponsor, speak to Rabbi Seiderson tonight, and please let him know, and that will be helpful. We do have some sponsorships, but this runs into the many, many thousands of dollars. Okay. If you take a look at page 2 in these books, we have over here the main mitzvot of the Seder. Okay. There are 15 steps, and the one that most people are familiar with is the food, is the meal. That's when the people eat. That's actually not in here, because if you're Jewish, it doesn't need to be written. You know that it's part of the... right? So these are the key mitzvot. I'm starting with number 2. Number 2 is eating matzah. And again, I'm not going to go through the details. Eating the maror, the bitter herbs. Drinking 4 cups of wine or grape juice. Beer does not work on Pesach. So it's either wine or grape juice. And then reciting the Hallel, which is after the grace after meals, reciting the different psalms of praise to give thanks to the Almighty for all the miracles that He has done for us. And then, of course, the highlight of the evening is not reciting the Haggadah, but the mitzvah is called Sipur Yetzias Mitzrayim, telling over the story of the Exodus from Egypt. That needs to be a key part of the Seder. We don't rush through that to get to the meal, because this night is an opportunity for every one of us that perhaps we don't have any other night of the year. And we don't want to miss that opportunity. And what is it an opportunity for? So, first of all, let me share with you that if any of you are inspired by anything that's said tonight, or that you may have been inspired in terms of Passover and the Seder in the past, and you really feel that you have got the meaning of what the Passover Seder is, it's crucial and vital that you communicate that if you have children, if you have grandkids, if you have siblings, spouses, to everybody else at the Seder table. This is the night, more than any other night of the year, that we have the opportunity to pass on what we believe in, what we think, why we're Jewish, what the Exodus from Egypt was all about. We have the opportunity to pass this on more than any other night of the year. And it's not just because we're sitting together at the Seder, because obviously we have many people who are bored. And then we've heard this story before. If you've heard the story before and don't know well enough that you can't add to it or make it more meaningful, then somehow we're missing the guts of what tonight is. Okay? This year, I've been on a little bit of a kick when teaching about the Exodus from Egypt. And the kick starts with the sentence that the story of the night is not about becoming free people. Okay? The story of the Exodus is not about the Jewish people becoming free people. You know, when Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves, when the North freed the slaves in 1865, I don't know how many slaves became free. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions, I don't know. Does anybody have any idea the number by the Civil War? It's an interesting thing. There's not enough. We know the exact number of Jews that left Egypt, and that was a lot longer, before 1865. We know the exact number of male slaves between the ages of 20 and 60, 603,500, I think it was. Then you had the tribe of Levi, you had those who were younger than 20, older than 20, and all the women. So we think there were approximately between 2 and 3 million people that left. But God did not take them out of Egypt just to be free. Because what would have been with the Jewish people? So they would have been free. So what? So they would become nomads in the desert and either become assimilated as part of another country on the way, whether it be Amalek, whether it be Jordan, whether it be Syria. They would have just been part of another nation, and we would never have heard of the Jews again. The purpose of going out of Egypt and the purpose of being in Egypt was that they should learn what it means to be oppressed, what it means to be enslaved by another human being, what it means to maintain your dignity even in a society which was very, very immoral and very unkind to anybody who wasn't like them. And then to come out and create a nation that was going to be the nation that was going to make a difference to the world and teach the world what goodness is, what kindness is, what education is, what the value of family is, what ultimate chesed is, being good and kind to others. That is why we went out of Egypt. It wasn't just so that we could become free and we happen to be the descendants, or we converted into a nation that happens to be Jewish, because then there would be nothing unique about it. So again, the purpose of the Exodus is not so we should go free. We had to go free in order to become an independent nation that was again going to fulfill our goals. So that's point number one. I'd like to read something to you. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you because it's a long article. But why is it that in our age, it seems, I don't know if there's a great book, and I forgot what it's called, the one that was put out many years by Age, with the drawing on the top, like they have one for the high holidays, you have everybody sitting around the table, and one person is playing their video game, and another one is sitting with the Haggadah upside down, doesn't know what's going on, and the grandfather's sitting at the head of the table, and he's where he is. Nobody else is interested, and everybody just says, when do we eat? And then we move on, and that's the end of the Seder. And so many people have a Seder like that. What is missing? What is missing that in the last 50, 70, 20 years, depending on your family, that we have such a hard time transmitting the core values of Judaism and why be a Jew to our children and grandchildren and to the others around us? Why is that? So in 2013, there's a fellow named Bruce Feiler, don't know who he is. He wrote an article in the New York Times, and it was a very interesting thing. He had a family event, everybody was together, and it wasn't Passover, they were just, this one was doing this, and this one was fighting with this, and other people were balancing their spoons on their noses, and this one was playing a game, this one was getting up, and everyone was yelling at everybody else, you got to pay attention, this is a family event. And after the event was over, the grandfather, this Feiler's father, the grandfather of the kids, called Bruce Feiler over, and he said, our family is falling apart. And Bruce said, no, come on, it's not. Look, we were all here. He said, yeah, we were here in body, but our family's falling apart. The kids haven't got a clue what our family's about. The kids haven't got a clue what we stand for, and each one is going to go on their own way, and they may love us, but they're not going to feel connected to us and what we believe in. So there's a whole article, again, this is from New York Times, while we still read the Times, on March 15th, 2013, and they did studies, and they took a few dozen families, which they started off with, and this is the conclusion that they came to, and they were able to show it over and over again after the initial studies. The more children knew about their family's history, the stronger their sense of control over their lives, the higher their self-esteem, and the more successfully they believed their families functioned. The do you know about your family scale turned out to be the best single predictor of children's emotional health and happiness. It was quite a surprise, right? And there are numerous other things that were written like this. Again, the most helpful narrative is the one, it's the oscillating family narrative. Not just, we came to this country, we were poor, we made it, and here we are today, and we're so well-to-do, and, we won X amount of Nobel Prizes, and look, we own Hollywood, et cetera, et cetera. That's not what it is. And the family narrative, he says here, is the strongest one. Dear, let me tell you, we've had our ups and downs in our family. We built a family business. Your grandfather was a pillar of the community. Your mother was on the board of the hospital. What was the community involvement? What did they stand for? What did they believe in? What was their Jewish involvement? But we also had, that's not here, but the Jewish involvement, I added that. But we also had setbacks.
They had the article in their booklet.
Okay. You had an uncle who was once arrested. So did I steal your spiel?
Still his
Okay. We had a house burned down, your father lost a job, but no matter what happened, we always stuck together as a family. So what's the idea behind this? And I'm not going to, you can look at it later. What's the idea behind this? Why is that so strong? Because if you know where your family comes from, and you know what you're a part of, you have a sense of belonging, and you have a sense of family. No matter what you go through, you know you're not in it by yourself. We speak about, especially after October 7th, we speak about unity and how in Israel, till very recently, again, there seemed to have been unity, although still totally different than it was before October 7th. And in America, we speak about Jews having more respect from one another, regardless of their philosophies, and getting along, and so on and so forth. I want to tell you that personally, for many years now, I have felt that I was somebody who always felt that I was part of a family, and that I loved Jews regardless of their stripe, color, race, literally, background, level of education. And to a certain sense, that's true. In a certain sense, that's true. But in November, Rabbi Meyer and I and 55 or so other people from around the Eish HaTorah world, we did, I think, what was the first solidarity mission of lay people to Israel. And we went to the farms and we visited soldiers and we visited hospitals and we paid shiva calls to families of where soldiers were killed, etc. I will tell you that I walked away so emboldened and empowered, but at the same time ashamed of myself. Because I said, I had no idea what it meant to feel part of family before now. And I'm sure I still have a long way to go. But I feel that I am, and I have, by the way, in my own biological family, I have a very strong family. Cousins, uncles, aunts, kids, grandchildren, extended family. I'm one of the guys who's known as one of the family guys. Not from the TV show, but one of the, yeah, I'm a family guy. But when I thought about the family of Israel, I see that I was missing the boat. I see that I was missing the boat. I wasn't putting myself enough in somebody else's shoes. I wasn't feeling the other's pain enough. Tonight, Seder night, can be a focus of, and don't think that you can't do it, because on Seder night you have special divine and heavenly assistance that is almost inexplicable. We've become so used to and accustomed to miracles and rockets falling where they don't do harm. I mean, this was real stuff. This was like the Scuds that Saddam sent, that 1 out of 39 hit. I saw a video today of one that hit, it landed in a residential neighborhood, made a huge hole in the ground, and it broke a fence that flew across the street and broke the solar paneling on somebody's house. And nobody was injured. It fell in the middle of a residential neighborhood. We're living in times of miracles. Be grateful to all those who help us. Be grateful to the friends we have. But they are not who we have to rely on. Bring God into the conversation, into the narrative, and Seder night more so than ever. But through the year you can do that by recognizing all the wonderful gifts that you have, the miracles that happen around you, the small things, the big things. Then, if we do that, then the Seder night will be able to play its way out through the year, and each one of us, and all those of us who are sitting at the table, will be able to be part of the continuing story of the Exodus until it's finally complete when the Jewish people have fulfilled their mission. Thank you. Amen. Does anybody want to ask any questions on what I said? Not that I'm looking for them, but anybody? Yes?
How did the Jews wind up in Egypt?